The financial success routine according to Napoleon Hill. What if building wealth wasn't about luck, hustle, or background, but about structure? Not just mindset, but a repeatable daily system that aligns your thoughts, actions, and habits with financial success? That's exactly what Napoleon Hill discovered nearly a century ago. After interviewing hundreds of the most powerful and wealthy men of his time, from Henry Ford to Andrew Carnegie, he realized they shared a striking pattern. Not personality, not education, but a daily rhythm of thinking, planning, acting, and adjusting that made success inevitable. This wasn't theory. It was mental engineering, a blueprint to rewire your day around results. In this video, we're not going to quote Napoleon Hill like it's a book club. We're going to build your financial success routine step by step, based on his 13 principles, translated into real-life habits, rituals, and mindset shifts you can install starting tomorrow morning. You'll see why definiteness of purpose isn't just an idea. It's the core filter that determines how you spend your time every day. You'll understand how faith isn't religious. It's mental conditioning through repetition and self-suggestion. You'll discover why most people never break out of mediocrity, because they build routines based on reaction, not creation. This isn't a motivational speech. This is a daily operations manual for your mind and your money. We'll explore how the most successful people begin their day with clarity, how they anchor their goals with emotion, how they stay resilient through setbacks, and how they align with allies who multiply their growth. Most importantly, you'll walk away with a step-by-step routine, rooted in Hill's legacy, adapted for today's fast-paced world. A world full of distraction, noise, and false promises. If you've been stuck in cycles of overthinking, procrastination, or scattered focus, this video is your reset button. Not because it tells you what to dream, but because it shows you how to design a day that brings that dream closer, hour by hour. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "You are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be." That's not theory. That's a job description. Let's get to work. Block 1. The foundation, a definite purpose and ruthless clarity. Every financial empire, every business success story, every millionaire who built something from nothing, starts in the same invisible place: clarity of purpose. Napoleon Hill didn't say, "Have a vague idea of where you'd like to go." He declared, with absolute certainty, that success begins with a definite chief aim. Not a wish, not a nice-to-have, but a clearly defined goal, so vivid and compelling that it dominates your thinking and directs your daily actions. Let's break this down like a strategist. In the modern world, distraction is the enemy. We live in a time of endless opportunities, and that's the trap. Without a clear aim, your mind becomes fragmented. One day you're chasing income, the next day validation, the next escape, and none of that leads to wealth. So your first step in building a financial success routine is to define your destination with ruthless clarity. Ask yourself, how much money do I want to earn, specifically, monthly, yearly? By when? Doing what? For whom? Why does it matter? This isn't journaling. This is strategic targeting. Hill wrote, "There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it." Think of your purpose as your internal CEO. Every action, every dollar, every hour must report back to it. If it doesn't align, it doesn't belong in your day. Now here's the practical turn. Once you've defined your aim, it becomes the anchor of your daily routine. Every morning, review it. Speak it. Feel it. Not passively, but as if your business, your bank account, your legacy depends on it. Because it does. Write your purpose on a note card. Put it on your desk, your bathroom mirror. Make it a screen lock on your phone. This is not obsession. This is mental repetition, the mother of belief and the father of action. Hill insisted on this process. Write your definite aim clearly. Read it aloud twice daily. Visualize yourself already living it. Feel the emotion of success. These are not motivational tricks. They are neuroconditioning exercises. You're training your subconscious mind to treat your goal as reality, not fantasy. And there's more. Your definite purpose must translate into key performance actions. Every day you ask, what am I doing today that moves me toward that target? What can I eliminate that wastes energy? Who can I talk to, learn from, partner with? Without clarity, your to-do list is just busy work. With clarity, it becomes a tactical execution plan. Let's make it real. Say your purpose is to build a business that earns $25,000 a month in profit. Your routine must then include morning review of goal and why it matters, a focused block of deep work on income-generating activities, daily outreach or relationship building, evening reflection. Did I move closer or drift further? Success becomes predictable when it becomes repeatable. And repetition is only possible when you're focused. There's a reason Hill made this principle the first one. Because without it, everything else collapses. Even the most talented people fail if they lack direction. But even average people, with relentless focus, can create extraordinary results. That's the power of purpose-driven routine. Clarity creates energy. It eliminates confusion. It reduces stress. And most of all, it creates leverage, because your brain stops wasting fuel on decisions that don't matter. You know your aim. You know your path. You execute. Let's take it deeper. Clarity is also how you build identity. When your goal is clear, your behaviors start to shift to match it. You wake up earlier. You speak differently. You dress with more intention. You filter people. You say no without guilt. You stop tolerating mediocrity, in yourself and in others. You begin to act like someone who earns that amount, thinks like them, plans like them, and eventually, you become them. This is the hidden mechanism behind Hill's philosophy. He didn't just want you to set goals. He wanted you to become the type of person who achieves them by default. So let's reset your routine. First 5 minutes of your day, speak your definite purpose out loud. Feel it. Own it. Next 10 minutes, write down 3 moves you'll make today to advance it. Throughout the day, filter your decisions through one question. Does this move me toward or away from my aim? Last 5 minutes before sleep, close your eyes and visualize having already achieved it. Simple, yes, but powerful, because it aligns your entire nervous system with one objective. And when your mind, emotions, and actions align, results compound. You'll stop doubting, stop overthinking, stop changing directions every week, because now you have a target. And like a heat-seeking missile, you move toward it. This is how you escape the cycle of busy but broke. This is how you stop confusing motion with progress. This is how you build the financial life you actually want, not just talk about it. Hill gave you the map, but you still need to walk the terrain. And every step starts with a single question. Do I know exactly where I'm going, and am I willing to design my life around getting there? If the answer is yes, then welcome to the starting line of everything. Let's move forward. Block 2. Belief is a system. How to install unshakable financial faith. Most people talk about belief as if it were a feeling, a passive state you either have or don't. But Napoleon Hill treated belief differently. For him, belief was a system, something you could build, install, and reinforce like a mental operating framework. And that system, once in place, could alter your financial destiny. In Think and Grow Rich, Hill made it clear, faith is the head chemist of the mind. It's the element that transforms thoughts into reality. But here's what most people miss. He didn't say hope. He didn't say wishful thinking. He said faith. And in Hill's world, faith is active. It's muscular. It's trained. So how do you train belief? You don't wait for it to show up. You build it through repetition and emotional alignment. Let's break that down into real-world application. Step 1. Create a core financial belief statement. Start by writing out what you want to believe, even if you don't yet. Not in vague terms, but precise language. For example, I am a disciplined, focused entrepreneur earning $20,000 per month by providing massive value through my business. This statement becomes your core programming file, the belief you will begin to install. Now, you do exactly what Hill commanded. Read your written statement aloud twice daily, with full emotion and belief, as if it were already true. Not as a ritual. As neural installation. Why twice daily? Because that's how the subconscious learns, through spaced repetition and intensity. Morning installs it into your emotional system. Evening cements it into your unconscious while you sleep. Most people read affirmations like they're reading their grocery list. Flat, emotionless, and mechanical. That's not how belief works. Belief needs emotional fuel. You have to feel the words. See the life. Connect it to your desire. Your body should respond. Posture changing, voice sharpening, energy rising. This is mental training, not motivation. And just like going to the gym, at first you might feel resistance. You'll hear voices of doubt. That's part of the process. The old programming fights back. But if you stay consistent, you begin to rewire your identity. Step 2. Emotional anchoring. Napoleon Hill didn't talk about neuroscience, but his methods line up with everything we know today about habit formation and neuroplasticity. When you attach strong positive emotion to a new thought, it gets stored deeper in the brain. So don't just say your belief. Anchor it emotionally. Close your eyes. Visualize the outcome. Imagine walking into the office you built, opening the email with your bank statement, handing the keys of a new house to your family. Let your body respond. This isn't positive thinking. This is identity construction. You're creating neural grooves that make belief automatic, and when belief becomes automatic, action becomes inevitable. Step 3. Evidence collection. One of the most overlooked techniques in building belief is what I call the evidence loop. Every day, your mind looks for confirmation. If you don't control what it looks for, it will find proof that your dreams are impossible. But you can hack this. End each day by writing down 3 pieces of evidence that your belief is becoming real. Tiny things count. You sent an email. You closed a small sale. You resisted a distraction. You read 1 page of a finance book. You woke up 30 minutes earlier. These are micro-signals. And they do something powerful. They create momentum-based faith. Hill's faith principle was never blind. It was reinforced daily, built on action. And you can do the same. Step 4. Surrounding yourself with belief builders. One of Hill's most famous observations was about the power of the mastermind. He wrote that surrounding yourself with people who share your vision and support your growth was not optional. It was mandatory. Why? Because belief is contagious. And so is doubt. If your daily environment is filled with people who mock ambition, complain about money, or settle for less, your internal system absorbs that energy. You may say your affirmations in the morning, but if you swim in poison all day, the system collapses. Instead, you need belief reinforcers in your circle. People who talk in goals. People who speak in strategies. People who treat financial growth as normal. And if you don't have them in person yet, create them virtually. Listen to audio mentors. Watch content that reinforces your belief. Read books that speak your language. Protect your mind like a fortress. Because here's the truth. Belief is a habit. And like all habits, it is either built by design or left to decay. Step 5. Align your behavior with the belief. Finally, the most important belief builder of all, integrity between words and actions. You can't build financial faith if you lie to yourself. If you say you're focused, but you scroll TikTok for 2 hours. If you say you're disciplined, but you hit snooze every morning. If you say you're building a business, but spend your day reacting to noise. You break the loop. Your subconscious doesn't care what you say. It watches what you do. That's why Hill insisted on daily action aligned with belief. Even if it's small. Even if it's uncomfortable. Especially then. Every aligned action sends a message to your nervous system. This is who I am now. And that message, over time, becomes the new identity. That's when belief becomes effortless. Not because you repeated words, but because you became the kind of person who proves those words true. This is the core of Hill's faith principle. Not religion. Not mysticism. But a repeatable process to train your mind to expect wealth, and then act accordingly. Because once you believe deeply, 2 things happen. You stop hesitating. You stop negotiating with mediocrity. You move. You build. You create. Not because you're chasing some external prize, but because your mind now treats success as the only logical outcome. That's the power of belief, when it's engineered, not wished for. Block 3, self-suggestion. Reprogramming your financial identity through repetition. There's a reason why the wealthiest people in the world repeat their goals every day. There's a reason why world-class athletes visualize every movement before stepping on the field. And there's a reason Napoleon Hill dedicated an entire principle to autosuggestion. He wasn't talking about hype. He was describing a conscious system of reprogramming your mind using your own words, thoughts, and emotions. A system designed to overwrite old beliefs, bad habits, and limiting identities, and install a new operating system focused on financial success. Let's be clear, the most dangerous thing in your life isn't external. It's the internal script you keep repeating without knowing. Every day, most people wake up and subconsciously repeat phrases like, "I'm not good with money. I always screw things up. It's too late for me. Making money is stressful. I just need to survive." And the subconscious listens, records, reinforces. What you say to yourself becomes who you are. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Through the dominating thoughts which one permits to remain in the conscious mind, man can voluntarily feed his subconscious mind with thoughts of a creative nature, or, by neglect, permit thoughts of a destructive nature to find their way into this rich garden of the mind." Autosuggestion is how you take back control of that garden. It is the act of deliberately planting thoughts, again and again, until they become belief, and belief becomes action. Step 1. The script. Start by crafting your autosuggestion statement. This isn't an affirmation you found on social media. This is a customized, detailed statement of the future you're creating, stated in the present tense. Example: I am creating a business that generates $25,000 a month by helping business owners grow their brand online. I feel confident, focused, and driven. Every day, I attract clients, take bold action, and deliver massive value. Money flows to me because I serve with power and precision. This statement includes the result, specific income and business outcome. The method, how you're creating value. The emotions, confidence, clarity, drive. The identity, you are someone who acts and receives. The flow, money as a result of service. The more emotionally charged and precise your script, the faster it works. It must light you up, or it won't rewire anything. Step 2. Daily installation. Now comes the critical part, repetition at peak receptivity. Napoleon Hill recommended reading your statement twice a day, first thing in the morning and just before sleep. These are the two moments when your brain is closest to the alpha state, where the conscious mind is relaxed and the subconscious is most absorbent. Don't whisper it. Speak with power. Look in the mirror if you have to. Breathe into it. Embody it. This is not superstition. It's neurolinguistic reprogramming. Your words are installing new software in your brain. And over time, those words start to govern how you see, decide, and act. At first, your brain might fight back. It will say, "That's not true." It will say, "You're lying to yourself." But you're not. You're declaring who you are becoming. And that declaration, repeated with emotion, creates tension between who you've been and who you are becoming. That tension is what drives transformation. Step 3. Emotional amplification. Words alone are not enough. You must feel the statement as if it were already real. This is where most people fail. They say the words, but there's no emotional charge, no imagery, no conviction. Hill emphasized the role of emotion as the activating force. So when you speak your autosuggestion, see it in your mind. Imagine the bank account, the client thank you emails, the product launch, the investment returns, the phone call with good news. Let it trigger real physical reactions, chills, a smile, a tightening in your chest. That means your nervous system is responding. That means change is happening. You are replacing passive identity with embodied identity. Step 4. Anchoring with action. Autosuggestion without action is delusion. Hill never intended for this principle to float in the clouds. He wanted it to fuel behavior. Once you repeat your statement in the morning, ask, "What's one action I can take today that proves this is who I am?" Then do it, even if it's small. Reach out to a prospect. Record a sales video. Post your idea. Make an offer. Track your spending. Say no to a distraction. That action becomes a reinforcement loop. It says, "This isn't just a thought. This is who I am now." And your brain believes it more. The fastest way to install a belief is to act like it's already true. When your actions and words are aligned, change becomes inevitable. Step 5. Repetition over time. Most people do autosuggestion for a week and quit. That's like going to the gym twice and wondering where the six-pack is. Real identity change, the kind that shifts your financial reality, takes weeks of repetition, maybe months. But if you do it right, it becomes automatic. You'll start to speak differently in meetings. You'll start to say no to nonsense. You'll begin thinking in bigger numbers. You'll move through the day with quiet certainty. You'll make decisions that scare you because they match your new vision. And people will notice. You'll hear, "You've changed. You seem more focused. You're different lately." That's the sign that the inner work is starting to leak into the outer world. And that's when financial results start to arrive, not as accidents, but as the logical consequence of a transformed internal script. Hill's genius was not in giving us inspiration. His genius was in giving us a mechanism. He showed us how to become architects of our own identity, using nothing more than focused language, repeated with emotional precision, and backed by aligned action. This is the power of autosuggestion, not as a motivational tool, but as a financial transformation system. If your current income doesn't match your potential, the problem is in your programming. Rewrite it, every morning, every night, until the words you say to yourself become too powerful to ignore. Until the world around you has no choice but to catch up. Block 4. Specialized knowledge, turning information into income. In a world drowning in information, knowledge alone is worthless. Everyone's got access to Google, online courses, and podcasts. But if knowledge was the key to wealth, every broke college professor would be a millionaire, and every YouTube junkie would own a business empire. Napoleon Hill knew this, long before the Internet. He made a clear distinction between two types of knowledge: general knowledge, broad, scattered, passive, academic; specialized knowledge, focused, applied, income-generating. Hill didn't glorify education. He respected practical learning that could be monetized. Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action. That line should be stamped on every degree in the world. Let's break this down. Your financial routine must include daily acquisition and application of specialized knowledge. Not random reading. Not passive scrolling. But focused, monetizable learning tied directly to your definite purpose. Step 1. Define your money-making skill stack. Ask yourself, what specific set of skills would make me highly valuable in my field or industry? If your goal is to build a six-figure online business, you might need to master copywriting, sales psychology, offer creation, funnel strategy, client delivery, money management. This is your skill stack, and it becomes your new curriculum. Every day, part of your routine must be dedicated to intentional learning in at least one of these areas. Not because learning is noble, but because learning makes you more useful to the marketplace, and usefulness is the source of income. You don't get paid to know. You get paid to apply what you know in a way that solves a valuable problem. Step 2. Convert theory into action within 24 hours. Hill emphasized that knowledge must be organized and acted upon. That means every piece of new information you consume should be processed through a simple question. How can I apply this today to move closer to my financial goal? Let's say you just learned a new client onboarding strategy. Your next step is not to nod your head and take notes. Your next step is to implement a version of it immediately. Action cements knowledge. Without implementation, knowledge decays. So your financial routine must include what I call the learn and deploy block, 30 to 60 minutes per day of focused study, immediately followed by action. Read a sales strategy, write your own pitch. Learn a marketing framework, use it in your next post. Study a pricing model, test it on a product. That's how knowledge becomes asset creation, not intellectual clutter. Step 3. Build a personal knowledge system. Hill talked about organized knowledge. In today's world, that means building a personal system where you store and revisit what matters. A digital vault of notes. A swipe file of great headlines or ads. A tracking doc of what you're testing. A journal of what's working and what's not. This is your playbook, not for life, but for wealth. Most people learn and forget. You'll learn and systematize. That's the difference between amateurs and pros. Amateurs binge-watch and move on. Pros capture, tag, reflect, and deploy. Step 4. Invest in expert access. Hill famously promoted the concept of organizing knowledge through alliances with others, aka mentorship, partnerships, and masterminds. He understood that the fastest way to grow wasn't reading more books. It was aligning yourself with people who already had the answers. That applies today more than ever. Instead of spending 5 years figuring things out on your own, pay to shorten the learning curve. Invest in coaching. Join a business group. Buy a course, and actually complete it. Hire someone to teach you what they've mastered. Money spent on targeted knowledge is not an expense. It's an accelerator, if you act on it. Hill's philosophy was never about doing everything alone. It was about assembling the right minds, tools, and systems to get to your goal faster. Step 5. Measure ROI on learning. Here's the hard truth most people never hear. Learning is not progress if it doesn't increase results. That means if you're reading 10 books a month but still broke, something's broken. In your financial success routine, track your learning like an investor tracks assets. Ask weekly, what did I learn this week that I applied? What income-producing result came from it? What topic or tactic gave the best return? Then double down on what works and drop the rest. This is ROI-based personal development. You're not studying to feel smart. You're studying to build a machine that generates freedom. You're not reading to escape your life. You're reading to design a better one. This approach kills shiny object syndrome. Because when you only study what feeds your business, your money, and your purpose, you stop wasting time on feel-good fluff and start building momentum. Step 6. Teach what you learn. One of the most powerful ways to lock in specialized knowledge is to teach it. Not necessarily in a classroom, but in content, in coaching, in conversations. When you teach, you're forced to simplify, clarify, and internalize. That's when knowledge stops floating and starts embedding. Even if you're just starting out, begin sharing what you're learning. Write a post. Record a video. Share a framework with a friend. Create a document for your future team. This is how you go from student to practitioner to leader. And leaders don't just attract income, they attract influence. Hill's most successful subjects weren't quiet geniuses. They were active contributors. They used their knowledge to build systems, train people, scale enterprises. That begins now, with how you treat what you learn today. Specialized knowledge is not about being smarter. It's about being sharper. It's about knowing exactly what to study, how to apply it, when to measure it, and how to scale it. Hill gave you the rulebook. Learn with purpose. Apply with urgency. Evolve with feedback. So ask yourself, what am I learning this week that directly feeds my goal? If you can't answer that in 10 seconds, you're not in the game yet. Fix it. Focus. Move. Because in the new economy, wealth doesn't go to the person who knows the most, it goes to the person who applies the right knowledge faster than anyone else. Block 5. Imagination. Your most profitable business tool. People hear the word imagination and think of artists, children, or daydreamers. But Napoleon Hill had a radically different view. To him, imagination wasn't entertainment, it was a business weapon. In Think and Grow Rich, Hill calls imagination the workshop of the mind. That's not poetic. That's operational. He believed that wealth is first created mentally, before it can ever be expressed materially. And the tool that shapes that mental design is imagination. Man's only limitation, within reason, lies in his development and use of his imagination. Let that sink in. Not resources, not time, not intelligence. Your limitation is your ability to imagine clearly, powerfully, and purposefully. In your daily routine, imagination cannot be optional. It must become part of your financial production process. Step 1. Understand the 2 types of imagination. Hill breaks imagination into 2 types. Synthetic imagination, combining existing ideas in new ways. Creative imagination, receiving entirely new ideas or flashes of insight. Let's start with synthetic imagination, the entrepreneur's playground. This is what you use when you take a proven business model, tweak the offer, adjust the audience, repackage the delivery, and suddenly you have something fresh and profitable. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You have to remix it with purpose. Example. Uber didn't invent taxis, they reimagined access. Airbnb didn't invent hotels, they reimagined hospitality. Personal trainers didn't invent health, they reimagined delivery via apps. This is synthetic imagination, spotting opportunities by fusing what already exists. Every day, your imagination should be on alert for patterns, problems, inefficiencies, and overlooked potential. Because that's where the money is. Your routine should include time to think strategically, not just work reactively. Step 2. Schedule daily imagination time. If imagination is a workshop, then you need to open the shop every day. This isn't passive. You need a dedicated block of time, even if just 15 minutes, where you disconnect from execution and ask better questions. What's one way to increase revenue this month using what I already have? What would my business look like if I had to grow it without spending any money? How could I 10x my impact by changing just one process? Most people don't lack resources. They lack questions. And questions are the spark plugs of imagination. So treat this time seriously. No distractions. No emails. Just thinking. Pen, paper, whiteboard, clarity. This is the moment where breakthroughs begin. Step 3. Use imagination to visualize outcomes in detail. This is where creative imagination kicks in. Hill believed that when you combine desire, belief, and imagination, the subconscious begins to generate ideas, answers, and strategies beyond logic. This isn't mysticism. It's how high-performers operate. When you visualize an outcome in vivid detail, the moment of signing a deal, opening your account to see new revenue, celebrating a sold-out launch, your brain begins to orient toward that target. Neuroscience calls this priming. Hill called it tapping into infinite intelligence. The name doesn't matter. The result does. Visualization creates internal clarity. Internal clarity creates external decisiveness. And decisiveness creates income. So make this part of your routine. Close your eyes. See your exact goal achieved. Play the movie of your future success. Feel the confidence, the pride, the financial security. Let it embed in your nervous system. When you come out of that, you'll notice a shift, urgency, clarity, and precision. That's not magic. That's alignment. Step 4. Use imagination as a decision filter. Great entrepreneurs don't make decisions based on what is. They make decisions based on what could be. That's imagination in action. Every major pivot, product, or play you make should be filtered through this question. If I let go of what I currently see, what's the bigger version of this? You're not just answering emails. You're designing an ecosystem. You're not just selling a product. You're building a brand story. You're not just learning a skill. You're creating an intellectual property asset. This shift, from operator to architect, happens in imagination first, and it changes how you allocate your time, energy, and focus. Step 5. Build a capture system for ideas. The biggest mistake people make with imagination is not recording what they receive. Ideas are currency, but only if you capture and store them properly. So build a system. A notebook on your desk. A note app on your phone. A voice recorder in your car. A Trello or Notion board labeled Money Ideas. When something hits, an offer idea, a headline, a phrase, a visual, a system tweak, write it down immediately. These fragments are gold. Over time, they compound into products, campaigns, and systems that create real financial leverage. And don't judge the ideas too early. Some will feel dumb at first. That's fine. The goal is volume, not perfection. Judgment kills creativity. Capture first. Edit later. Step 6. Use imagination to reinvent yourself. Finally, and most powerfully, imagination allows you to craft your future identity. You're not bound by your past habits. You're not stuck with who you've been. You're only stuck if you can't imagine a different version of yourself. Who is the 10x version of you? What time do they wake up? What does their calendar look like? How do they speak, lead, think, and move? See it, feel it, design it. This becomes your North Star, the identity you step into day by day, the character you play with increasing conviction until it's not a role anymore. It's reality. Hill was clear. Imagination wasn't fantasy. It was the blueprint of transformation. And for the entrepreneur, imagination isn't a luxury. It's the birthplace of profit. So here's the question to ask yourself. When was the last time you let your mind play, not to escape, but to design your next level? If your answer is not recently, you're running your business and your life on outdated software. Update it. Use imagination like a weapon. Design smarter offers. Create better systems. Envision new versions of yourself. Build businesses that solve more painful problems with more elegant solutions. And when that vision feels clear and urgent, act fast. Because in today's world, the entrepreneur with the sharpest imagination wins. Not the most capital. Not the most connections. The most creative leverage. And it starts with this. Create space. Ask better questions. Capture what appears. Move on what matters. That's imagination as a financial tool. And that's how you begin turning invisible ideas into visible income. Block 6. Organized planning. Turning vision into execution. At some point, dreaming must end and building must begin. This is where most people stall. They've got the desire. They've got the belief. They may even visualize success with clarity. But without a plan, a real, actionable, trackable plan, the dream collapses into wishful thinking. Napoleon Hill didn't just encourage imagination. He warned that without organized planning, desire is powerless. You have learned that everything man creates or acquires begins in the form of desire. That desire is taken on the first lap of its journey from the abstract to the concrete, into the workshop of the imagination, where plans for its transition are created and organized. Let's be clear, wealth doesn't come from working hard. It comes from working strategically on a plan that's aligned with your definite purpose, powered by belief, and executed with consistency. This block is about exactly that. How to engineer a financial execution routine based on Hill's principle of organized planning. Step 1. Reverse engineer your definite purpose. Start with your target, the income goal, the business vision, the lifestyle outcome. Now reverse engineer it. If you want to earn $240,000 per year, that's $20,000 per month. What business model will get you there? What offer? What pricing? What volume? How many clients or customers per month? What actions must happen weekly to hit those numbers? Break it all the way down until you arrive at daily actions you control. This is your execution map, your GPS. Without it, you're wandering. With it, you're tracking. Hill emphasized, the plan must be practical. You're not building fantasies. You're building reality blocks that lead to predictable financial outcomes. Step 2. Build a planning ritual into your day. Planning isn't a once-a-quarter event. It's a daily ritual. Start each morning with what we'll call your success operations briefing. This includes reviewing your main financial goal, reviewing your weekly targets, listing 3 to 5 needle-moving actions for the day, scheduling those actions in specific time blocks. This takes 10 to 15 minutes, but it transforms your entire workday from reactive to strategic execution. Your calendar should not just include calls and tasks, it should reflect your priorities. If you're not making room for sales, marketing, creation, or client delivery, then you're managing noise, not building wealth. You must treat your calendar like a cash flow blueprint. If the hours don't align with money-making priorities, you're not in business, you're in chaos. Step 3. Install a weekly review system. Every successful operation requires feedback loops. Your plan must be flexible enough to adapt, but structured enough to guide. Hill warned that the first plan may fail, and that's okay. What matters is your ability to analyze, adjust, and recommit. That's why your weekly routine must include a strategic review session. What worked this week? What didn't? What actions led to results? What patterns emerged? What gets repeated or eliminated next week? Without review, you repeat errors. With review, you accelerate learning. You are not a worker. You are a CEO. CEOs measure, optimize, redirect. Do the same with your time, your team, your tactics. Step 4. Plan with focus, not fantasy. One of the most common mistakes in planning is overloading the to-do list. Most people fail not because they aim too low, but because they aim at everything. Focus is the fuel of execution. In your daily plan, only include the highest leverage activities. He'll constantly return to the power of concentrated effort, and that's more true now than ever. What are the 20% of actions that create 80% of your income? Double down. Remove the rest. Planning is not about doing more. It's about doing the right things, at the right time, in the right order. Step 5. Build a planning environment. Execution depends on context. If your environment is chaotic, you will act chaotically. If your space is cluttered, your strategy will be too. So set up a planning environment that reflects your ambition. Quiet space. Clean desk. No distractions. Pen and paper or digital tools ready. Clear visual display of your goals. Make your space sacred. When you enter that space, you shift into builder mode. Not responder. Not consumer. But architect. This primes your nervous system to take the plan seriously. Step 6. Expect friction and plan for it. Hill acknowledged that no plan survives unchanged. Temporary defeat is not failure. It is just a signal that your plans are not sound. Rebuild those plans and set sail once more toward your coveted goal. Your plan will be tested. Life will punch you in the face. But the professional expects friction and plans for resistance. So build in buffers. What happens when you're low on motivation? What's your protocol when a client cancels? How do you recover a lost sales week? These contingency strategies are not pessimism. They're resilience systems. And resilience is the real backbone of organized planning. Step 7. Delegate or eliminate what doesn't belong. You only have so much bandwidth. If your plan includes everything, it delivers nothing. Hill emphasized the need for organized alliances and teamwork, what he called the mastermind. That principle belongs here too. If something in your weekly plan can be automated, outsourced, delegated, or deleted entirely, do it. Free yourself from $10 per hour tasks if you're aiming for $1,000 per hour income. Make this a habit. Each week, scan your calendar and ask, what am I doing that someone else could do faster or cheaper? Then start shifting it off your plate. Slowly, strategically, aggressively. This is how you turn your plan into a machine, not a solo hustle. Organized planning is not glamorous. It's not flashy, but it's the core infrastructure of wealth. Without it, your ideas never take form. Your offers remain half-built. Your progress becomes accidental. But with it, you act with clarity. You recover faster. You compound progress. You build predictability. You separate yourself from 99% of the market. Remember, planning isn't just about knowing what to do. It's about designing your energy, time, and focus toward the result that matters most. And Hill's genius was this: he didn't just tell us to plan. He told us to live in a constant state of strategic correction, to treat failure not as defeat, but as a signal to upgrade the plan. So upgrade it. Daily, weekly, ruthlessly. Build a routine where every action traces back to your purpose, where your calendar reflects your ambitions, and where execution becomes your competitive advantage. That's how vision becomes revenue. That's how belief becomes business. That's how you, not luck, not economy, not timing, create your financial success. Block 7. Decision. the discipline that separates wealth builders from wishers. If there's one principle in Think and Grow Rich that silently governs all the rest, it's decision. Not the flashy, public kind. Not the motivational kind. But the kind that happens in silence, where no one claps, no one sees you, but something inside you shifts. Permanently. Napoleon Hill said it plainly. Successful people make decisions promptly and change them slowly. Unsuccessful people make decisions slowly and change them often. Let's translate that into the modern financial world. Indecision is poverty. Speed is leverage. Clarity is a superpower. And all three are trainable through your daily routine. This block is about transforming decision from a philosophical idea into a financial operating system. Step 1. Understand the cost of indecision. Every time you delay a decision, you pay a tax. A tax in energy, in focus, in momentum, in confidence. Indecision keeps your brain in limbo, and that limbo kills execution. You delay launching your offer, you miss a window. You hesitate to pitch the client, someone else closes. You can't choose a platform, you end up on none. You overthink a hire, you stay overwhelmed. You don't need more time. You need more decisiveness. Train your brain to ask, what is the next best decision I can make with the information I have right now? Not later. Not perfect. No. Hill's titans of industry didn't wait for certainty. They created it through action. So must you. Step 2. Install decision loops into your routine. To become a decisive entrepreneur, you need decision rituals. Here's a simple one to start your day. The morning power question. What decision have I been avoiding that, if made today, would move my business forward? Then make it. Commit. Act. In the evening, run the closing loop. What decision did I make today? What was the result? Did I trust myself? Track these. You'll be shocked how many micro-decisions build macro momentum. It's not about always being right. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't stall. In the financial world, hesitation is a form of self-sabotage. Step 3. Create a 3-point decision filter. Most decisions that paralyze entrepreneurs come from trying to predict the future. But Hill's approach was simpler. Filter decisions through principles, not predictions. Here's a 3-question filter you can embed in your planning system. Does this align with my definite purpose? Does it have measurable upside if it works? Can I afford the cost if it fails? If it hits 2 out of 3, decide and move. This turns decision-making from emotional fog into rational processing. It eliminates 90% of overthinking. And it builds confidence fast. Because clarity compounds. Step 4. Make decisions public when needed. Accountability accelerates decisions. Sometimes the best way to force action is to declare your commitment publicly, to your team, your partner, your audience. Say, I'm launching this offer next Friday. I'm hiring a coach by the end of the week. I'm cutting this product to focus on the winner. This removes your ability to hide in delay. And what you lose in safety, you gain in speed. Hill understood this, which is why he encouraged alliances, masterminds, and mentors. When you surround yourself with growth-driven people, you raise your standard of decisiveness. The room expects movement, so you move. Step 5. Don't confuse delay with strategy. There's a lie most entrepreneurs tell themselves. I'm waiting because I'm being strategic. But here's the truth. Most waiting is fear in disguise. Fear of judgment. Fear of failure. Fear of success. Hill said it directly. The majority of people who fail to accumulate money sufficient for their needs are easily influenced by the opinions of others. When you delay a decision to avoid discomfort, you abandon your power. Train yourself to move through the tension, not around it. Strategy includes timing, yes. But strategy without movement is paralysis dressed up in planning. Am I collecting data or avoiding commitment? Am I researching or hiding from risk? Am I thinking or just afraid to choose? Be honest. Then act. Step 6. Create a fast-track list for recurring decisions. Not every decision is major. But when small decisions pile up, they drain your energy. What Hill didn't have, but you do, is the ability to automate decisions through process. Build a fast-track list. Your go-to content schedule. Your pricing structure. Your offer stack. Your daily routine. Your marketing platform. Decide once. Reuse. This saves you hours of second-guessing every week. And it frees up your brain for high-stakes thinking, not low-level loops. You don't need more motivation. You need less noise. Step 7. Practice decision speed with low stakes. You can train decisiveness the same way you train a muscle, with reps. Start small. At restaurants, decide what to eat in 30 seconds. In meetings, speak up first. With your schedule, lock tomorrow in 3 minutes or less. With offers, test fast instead of perfecting in private. These are reps. Each one builds your execution reflex. And as that reflex strengthens, you'll notice something profound. You move faster. You hesitate less. You trust your gut more. And people feel it. Clients sense confidence. Partners lean in. The market responds. Because while everyone else is thinking, you're building. The most successful entrepreneurs are not always the smartest, most resourced, or best connected. They're the ones who move. They decide. They commit. They learn. They adjust. And they repeat that cycle faster than anyone else. Hill didn't just romanticize success. He decoded its momentum. And at the core of that momentum is the power to decide and act. You cannot outsource this. You cannot delegate this. You can only train it daily, live it fully, and protect it fiercely. So ask yourself, what's the decision I've been putting off that I must make today before anything else moves? Then make it. Because the longer you wait, the more life moves on without you. And no amount of strategy will save the person who won't choose themselves. Block 8. Persistence. The discipline that turns routines into riches. Talent without persistence is wasted. Vision without persistence is a fantasy. And plans without persistence are just ideas that die slowly. Napoleon Hill understood this with brutal clarity. Persistence is to the character of man as carbon is to steel. You can have all the desire, belief, planning, imagination, and decisions in the world. But if you don't show up consistently, in the face of fatigue, boredom, doubt, or failure, none of it matters. Because the market doesn't reward what you intend to do. It rewards what you repeat. This block is about how to install persistence as a functional system in your daily routine, so that it becomes who you are, not just something you try when it's easy. Step 1. Understand that persistence is not a personality trait, it's a protocol. People talk about persistence like it's a gift. You either have it or you don't. That's false. Persistence is not a character trait. It's a system of behavior reinforced by clarity, repetition, and structure. In practical terms, if you have a clear target, if you review it daily, if you've built a schedule around it, if your actions align with it, and if you track and correct consistently, then persistence is the natural result. You don't force yourself to persist. You design your life to make quitting harder than continuing. This is the architect's mindset, and it's what separates serious wealth builders from hopeful dabblers. Step 2. Measure consistency, not intensity. Most people burn out because they sprint without rhythm. They go hard one week, disappear the next. That's not persistence. That's adrenaline addiction. Hill's philosophy was long-game thinking. He wasn't interested in hype. He was building endurance. In your financial success routine, start tracking consistency over intensity. Did you show up every day to your deep work block? Send that outreach message even when tired. Publish content even without perfect inspiration. Review your goal even if the numbers don't show progress yet. These small daily acts, done without drama, build the internal muscle of persistence. And that muscle prints money over time. Because the person who keeps showing up becomes impossible to ignore, outlasts the competition, and eventually dominates the space. Step 3. Use environment to enforce discipline. Willpower is a terrible system. It's emotional, fluctuating, exhaustible. Persistence depends less on grit and more on design. Is your workspace optimized for focus? Are your tools always ready at the start of the day? Do you remove temptation, distractions, noise, access to nonsense? Is your phone off when it's time to work? Do your routines trigger action by default? You shouldn't be waking up and asking, "What should I do today?" You should wake up and step directly into a process that has already been built to pull you forward. That's how pros behave. Not because they're stronger, but because they're better organized. Hill spoke of autosuggestion, of creating emotional momentum through daily practice. Your environment is part of that. It's not just a space, it's a system. Step 4. Stack wins to sustain momentum. Persistence is easiest when you're winning. The challenge is, in the early stages, wins can be small, delayed, or invisible. So you have to train yourself to recognize and stack micro-wins. You made the call. You hit publish. You finished a task on time. You improved the copy. You held the boundary. Each is a vote for your new identity, and the accumulation of those votes is what eventually tips the scale in your favor. Create a victory log in your journal or digital doc. At the end of each day, list 3 things you did right, no matter how small. Review them weekly. This reframes your journey from "not there yet" to "getting stronger by the day." And that mental frame is everything when the external results aren't immediate. Step 5. Build your persistence recovery protocol. Even the best stumble. Even the most disciplined hit walls. What matters most is, how fast do you return? Hill made a powerful point. The most intelligent man living cannot succeed in accumulating money, nor in any other undertaking, without plans which are practical and workable. Persistence is not about brute force. It's about having systems in place for when your plan breaks. So create your recovery protocol, your steps to return to focus when you fall. Stop the spiral. Acknowledge the setback without judgment. Revisit your definite purpose. Reconnect emotionally. Review your last 3 wins. Remind yourself of progress. Identify the trigger that broke your rhythm. Adjust the plan. Reduce complexity if needed. Take one action, immediately, no matter how small. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is elasticity, to stretch and snap back stronger. That's true persistence. Step 6. Make quitting embarrassing and success inevitable. You need pressure. Hill insisted on alliances, not just for ideas, but for accountability. Create stakes. Tell someone your goal and deadline. Post publicly when something will launch. Tie a reward or consequence to performance. Partner with someone and bet money on consistency. The point isn't punishment, it's activation. Most people drift because they have no skin in the game. Add tension to the system and watch how much sharper you become. At the same time, automate the support. Weekly review time. Visual dashboards. Habit trackers. Calendar alerts. Automatic reminders of your why. You don't persist by hope. You persist by construction. Step 7. Rewire your identity around persistence. Ultimately, persistence is identity. You persist not just because you want to, but because it's who you've become. Every time you show up, even when it's inconvenient, you reinforce, I am the kind of person who follows through. That belief, once rooted, makes everything easier. Because now your actions aren't negotiations, they're expressions of who you are. This is why Hill placed persistence near the end of his principles. Because it's the moment where all the mental work becomes visible behavior. And behavior, done consistently, reshapes reality. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another course. You need one clear goal and a system that pulls you toward it every single day, especially when you feel like nothing's happening. Because here's the truth. Results are uneven. Progress is invisible before it's obvious. And breakthroughs come after long periods of nothing. Only the persistent survive that desert. Only the disciplined arrive at the gold. So build your system. Trust your steps. Stay in motion. Because the only thing separating you from wealth is how many more boring, uncomfortable, focused days you're willing to string together, one after the other, until one of them changes everything. The execution edge, becoming the kind of person success can't ignore. Now you know the truth. Success isn't an accident. It's not random. It's not reserved for the chosen few. It's engineered. And Napoleon Hill gave you the blueprint almost a century ago. Not as a nice theory, but as a system of mental and behavioral mastery. The financial success you want doesn't depend on motivation. It depends on execution. And execution is the natural byproduct of a well-built daily routine anchored in a crystal-clear purpose, a trained belief system, the power of autosuggestion, constant skill building, imagination applied to opportunity, a detailed action plan, fast, firm decisions, and the unshakable discipline of persistence. What separates wealthy people from everyone else is not intelligence, luck, or connections. It's the ability to take these principles and live them daily without needing applause, permission, or perfect conditions. Now the question is, will you? Will you build a day so aligned with your purpose that it becomes harder to fail than to succeed? Will you install belief like software and run it even on hard days? Will you treat autosuggestion like mental training, not a game? Will you study and apply, not just collect information? Will you use your imagination to create and innovate, not escape? Will you plan like a builder, act like a leader, and decide like your future depends on it? Will you show up again and again when no one is watching, because your vision is louder than your excuses? Because that's where transformation happens. Not in the inspiration, but in the repetition. Most people dabble. They try. They wait to feel ready. You don't have that luxury. This world moves fast. Distractions are infinite. And comfort is seductive. But none of those things build wealth. None of them change legacies. Only focused, daily, purposeful action does that. So let this be the turning point. Let this be the moment where you stop consuming success content and start living a success routine. Every principle we've covered is just that, a principle. What makes it powerful is what you do with it. That means setting your goal in writing tonight, creating your morning belief ritual, scheduling your skill development, blocking time for imagination, planning your week around action, making one hard decision you've delayed, refusing to quit on yourself even if today feels heavy. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the right things consistently. And that's how success becomes predictable. That's how money starts to arrive, not by chance, but by cause. That's how you stop drifting and start leading. How you stop reacting and start creating. Because you are not here to survive. You are here to build something that matters. And now you have the tools, the structure, the system. Hill said it best. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So conceive boldly, believe deeply, and achieve relentlessly. You don't need permission. You don't need more time. You don't need another guru. You need a pen, a plan, and the decision to act now. Start the routine. Repeat the process. Refine the steps. Become the person your results require. Because success doesn't respond to need, it responds to structure. And now you have won.